Kundalini awakening is very painful, and you may be here because you feel pain. The point of this video is to hold space for the physical sensations of Kundalini and to share with you a little bit more of my Kundalini awakening journey's physical symptoms. This is not a definitive video. I could probably write a book on this. And if you're in the midst of your journey too, that's what it's gonna be like. And yeah, that's interesting. Everybody's journey is different. I'm having a day where the physical sensations in my physical body and my energy body are very irritating. And I feel sad because I'm making this story up somewhere that, like, judging. I meant to say I'm judging these feelings. And what happens when we judge our feelings? Often it's an act of resisting them that happens. We start to have an aversion to the feelings. We start to form stories around those judgments, that these feelings are painful and not welcome. So my point of this video actually is to open up more to holding space for these feelings. I don't know about you, and I'd love to hear, so drop me a comment below if you're on a Kundalini awakening journey. Share, But for me, I had been on a spiritual journey for many years before my Kundalini began arising. It happens differently for different people, as you may know. I don't know. Some people have it very spontaneously, and that's actually not always advised, because that can be kind of can blow out your system a bit, because this is like a nervous system upgrade, if you want to call it that. It's Shakti is going in there and totally regenerating our systems. And as that's happening and all these blockages are being pushed to the forefront and cleansed and brought to the surface, it's painful. That's the word we use, right? And the reason why I brought up my journey as a Buddhist is because I'm glad that I have had this foundation, because in Buddhism, you're sitting in meditation, and instead of attaching a label to something, you're being with it and you're basically holding space for it. You are witnessing it. Or maybe you're labeling it, but you're recognizing that you're also going into a label. And that when we create these labels, it also creates this desire aversion thing going on in us. And we know what desire is, right? This craving. Aversion is also a form of craving. It is the craving of resisting a craving. An aversion is also a craving. It is the pushing away. You're also investing a lot of your energy and attention on pushing something away. You're trying to push the craving away, when letting go is just surrendering into all of it. You're not pushing, you're not pulling, you're surrendering. And I apologize, because if you hear that there's some talking in the background, I live with other people, so it's Friday night, and this is what I'm doing. I don't feel like socializing anymore today, and I just want to be with my pain. Yeah, I wanted to do some reflection. I felt this burning in me, well, like literally a burning in me to start with some videos again, and I had sat down, I was gonna do something different, and this has been burning all day. Here's the thing with this pain with Kundalini is that for me, it's just, it has changed and shifted in so many ways in the years that I've been going through this. So it's been, this is like my 3rd year, see? Yeah, I'm in like 3 years of this journey. And I like to use the word like it's interesting. It's interesting to go on this journey. Interesting is a different label that I'm putting on it to get myself out of an aversion to it. It's like, let's be interested. Let's be present with this, with what is here. Because of course, you know, we have a conditioning as humans we don't want to experience what we have labeled as painful. And so let's take a moment on that, like, and you know, like, so go into your pain here and feel the sensation. And it's like, for me right now, I'm having a lot of lower back pain. And it's always difficult to explain sensations, you know? But this feels like, what this feels like today, and by the way, this, like I said, it's shifting around. It's shifted a lot over the last like week or two. Yeah, the pain has really shifted, and certain blockages that feel like, almost like there's like a huge, like, I don't know what that is. There's like something is just stuck in me. Like it's like a huge knot that there's no knot in there, you know, like it is just like so deep in there. That's been there for weeks. And now the lower back is in this like sensation of, I feel like asking them if they could talk lower, but yeah, this is something that's shifted a lot for me in my journey, and maybe I'll just take a moment for this, is you start to feel more like joy sometimes of just even being alone, but like hearing what others are doing or something, just having more like love, just love for other people, even if you don't participate that day. I used to have like FOMO and all these things before, and everything shifts with this. But anyways, now the lower back is just, it feels like, I don't want to say like a sunburn, that doesn't describe it either. It just feels so very tender, and I also can connect with the deep-seated emotions that are in there too. Like, I've already become aware that there's a lot of stuffed blockage of anger. Nothing wrong with anger, by the way, or any of these feelings or emotions that we have been conditioned to label as bad. And I'm gonna avoid going on a huge tangent here about feelings and emotions, because I could, and that would take up like a whole other video, but I'll leave it there for a moment as a space holder and let you know these aren't bad. And what happens often when we dive down this path of Kundalini, because we're looking for answers, maybe we don't know what's going on, now we find a spiritual community, and like, you can go down this path where it's like these are negative emotions. And as soon as you name it negative, even when someone will be like, oh, but it's just the energy, you know, it doesn't mean you're bad. You can still have, it still has this tone where you maybe want to like get rid of these emotions. And here's the thing, is what I'm learning personally on my journey is it's very different. My processes of processing emotions and feeling feelings is cathexis as opposed to catharsis. And what a lot of people in spiritual communities promote is catharsis, where you release. But what I do and what works very well for my Kundalini pains and working with Shakti here is to actually be doing cathexis, which is really, really feeling these feelings. And there's different practices of that. You know, contact me if you want to explore this, and I will hold space for you in the process and show you like how to use your conscious anger, for example. And cathexis is like it's almost like you're digesting it. You are getting the information of the feeling or emotion and using it. Okay, and that is very much what is going on with this Kundalini process, is these emotions are deep-seated because we didn't get to actually feel them when they were feelings when we were younger, and or maybe just last week we didn't really feel them. They turned into emotions and now they're like blocked in there, or just like they could mix too. So yeah, this feeling has to go back to it, and I guess I'll just apologize for being non-linear, but whatever, is that the sensation now, it wasn't even like this a few days ago. Like it wasn't feeling like it's very much like it's burning and it's tender, and it's easy for me to go into a story and feel a little bit like, kind of like remnant of like a victim thing. Like not even where I hear the story, but like the feeling of the victim. Like, oh my God, like what is wrong with me? Oh, it really hurts. Like, why does this have to happen? And like, and even just feeling the emotion of that. And that is also a part of holding space, is like, you're going to hear me talk more about the low drama and low drama triangle on this channel. But, you know, we play out these roles of the low drama triangle, which is the victim, the persecutor, and the rescuer. And you can flip-flop these roles even in like a span of 10 seconds in your mind. And everyone's playing them out all day in modern culture. It's just, that is the way it is. And there is a way to get out of this low drama. And the first step of getting out of it is becoming aware of it. And also celebrating your awarenesses when you realize that you're getting into it. And so I will notice, like, if I can just hold space for these feelings and noticing it. And it's like, can you become the witnesser or the feeler? And then kind of like step back from the feeler. So let's try it. And it's, yeah. Go into your pain, go into your feeling right now where Shakti is in you, and be with it. And I'm gonna feel mine. And so you can really like go into it and feel it. And then you can also practice like holding, coming out of it and watching it. Either way, you know, it's something to play with. You can also practice how it is when you're resisting this, like pushing it away. What I meant to say is start judging it. Experiment with judging it. Like, oh, I hate this this is so terrible. Like, I can't stand this here. It burns. I don't want this here. Why is this here? Why is this happening? Do it. Stimulate it and see, like, how being averse to it is making this pain grow even more instead of surrendering to it. So the energy of this is something I've been playing with for years as a Buddhist, is like playing with it even when I'm doing exercise, for example, is like, I remember times when I suffered from depression for years. I was in depression, and coming out of that, you know, that's an energetic thing. You have to take the leap, basically, to start energizing your body to get out of it. You have to start doing different exercise to move the energy around. And I just naturally would go into this thing as a Buddhist where I'm like, why do I think that this hurts right now? And just instead of like going straight to the label, like, note that the label, oh, this hurts, oh, I don't want to do this, oh, this sucks, this feels bad, oh, the complaints. And then being like, can I reframe this? It's like, I'm lifting my leg, I'm in the moment, it feels like it's burning, okay, and down, and like really being in it and falling in love with the process of it. That is what has shifted me into, this is interesting, instead of the stories and just going along with the stories. Like holding space for the stories, but knowing that they're stories, you know, and that they're very real, but they're also stories. They're stories. And I want to go even further into this sensation. So let's tell you a little legend. It was 2019, and I was hiking with a best friend of mine and his now wife. And he decided that we should go in this totally different direction where we got lost. And while we were lost in the woods, going down this one path, I felt something land on me, and my instinct was to just whack it off of me. Well, within about a second, I was attacked by tons of yellow jackets. Yes, and they were after me. And I was there ripping my shirt off, and they continued to attack me, and it was a horrible experience. By the time they finally stopped attacking me, I had 15 different stings on me. And it's painful if you've ever been stung by one. Well, at the time, of course, I was still a meditator, and I was dropping into sensations more and watching them. The only way this was actually a blessing, as weird as it's going to sound. This was a blessing for me today, because it was a practice that I got to receive years ago, which was to open up to the pain and say yes to it. I noticed I was like, I noticed resisting is not going to make the cut. And so I kept experimenting, like every time that I resisted, it was more painful. And I would say, yes, I accept. And I was like talking to the yellow jackets in my head. And I would just breathe and keep opening up to it and like expanding into the pain. That's the best way I can describe it, right? So this practice went on for a while, you know, because it lasted. I don't know. It was even the next day. It's like, I think that's when the itchiness started in. I can't remember how it went, but it was something I don't want to experience again. And yet that practice has become a part of my practice today. So try it out. Say yes to the pain. Say yes. And it makes me think also of my journey as a dominatrix. I must throw this in here because BDSM, practice consciously, it's all about surrendering. The submissive is surrendering. The dominant is provoking, being the prosecutor or whatever. And this surrendering into the pain is a part of is this process. If the submissive is doing something that's more devotional or service, there is also a pain in there. I mean, I say there should be, as the dominatrix, if the sub and the dom actually want to grow in their service and training. There's taking on more devotional acts, more service, all of this. It's very different when you do it professionally and people pay you because they just want to get the pleasure. But really the true practice of it is about opening up to surrender and greater amounts of it. And that's why you'll hear I read some dom's website that does like coaching, and she says BDSM is the greatest life hack, she considers it, which is funny. It can be for some, I guess, you know, but that's one thing that's kept me going as a dom, even though I've been growing gradually out of doing it professionally. I still appreciate this aspect of it that it's taught me about surrendering and many other things. And I would say trust too. Trust is a big part of it as well, because if you can't trust your top or bottom or your dom or your sub, then you're going to be in trouble. So yes, it's like I've had this journey of watching these feelings in my body, this energy changing day after day. And let's talk a little moment about that. It's like when it started for me, it started out on my right side where I thought it was sciatica. And I'm not hiking as much now. I will be next week when I get back to Colorado. But I thought it was like sciatica or something, and I was like rolling around on the floor with a ball, like trying to massage it out, and just like nothing was working. And I was like, I tried all kinds of creams, like arnica gel. Oh my, I used to put tons of that on, and it just like didn't really work. Okay, this is where I didn't really know that it, like, I subconsciously knew that this was Kundalini, but I didn't consciously know, if that makes sense. Like every time I would see the word or I would receive a message, I would receive a gift from someone or something, it was like, oh, Kundalini, and I thought it was something fancy. And yeah, like I tried CBD, I tried all kinds of natural things for it, and it wouldn't work. And speaking of, if I don't know where I've put this on the video yet, because I'm sort of splicing things in as I'm remembering stuff I want to include in here. Let's talk about cannabis for a minute. I enjoy organic cannabis. I've made an intention to use it more intentionally, where I'm actually speaking to the plant and working with it more instead of just doing it. And cannabis would make it much more painful. So what happened, and because I'm a little bit of a masochist for pain at the same time, when I would have cannabis and I would feel the pain more, I was like, well, we did this, like we made it feel worse now, labels. And I would say, well, let's just like explore this. And that's the thing that I think cannabis is really good at, is she helps you to reframe things. She helps me, I'll speak for myself, to be more compassionate, to separate from the judgmental voices or whatever, ego in the mind, and to also experience and explore in a way that's like, oh, what's that like? Oh, it feels like this, and just like being with the sensation. So that's how I've used cannabis, but I will say that for me, it does not help with pain. No, it agitates it more, actually. And when I've gone on these cannabis journeys with Breathe with Cannabis, it's a container that's monthly, you can check it out. It involves breath work as well. It's been extremely activating for Kundalini, where it's put me into like a lot of spontaneous movements, and yeah, like very, very activating with it, because we're also doing breath work and intentions and collective work with this too. So it's like magnified, which is another thing that has happened to me at these burns. Like last love burn, I had so much Kundalini activation that I was stretching constantly and trying to move it around, and I was in like a lot of pain, and fortunately I was with some really sweet friends of mine, and they know that I don't talk about this with everyone, but they know, and I'm like, yeah, I'm in pain right now. Like, I am really in pain. Like, this is so, I'm so activated right now. And I suggest also to go more into natural bodies of water. It's very, very helpful if you're by the ocean. We have a beach there when we do love burn. It's right on the ocean. It's really helpful. Hot springs, natural hot springs, you know, creeks, whatever. Do it. Go into them. It's very good for your system. I could comment, actually, I mean, did like 30 something videos on cold plunging. I don't believe that it really made the pain any better, like any relief from cold plunging. Yeah, I wouldn't say that I noticed really that much. Like it wasn't activating all of that, but maybe it'd be different for you. If you do cold plunging for Kundalini, let me know. And I'd be curious if when I get back into the Southwest in another week and I take a cold plunge, if I do it on a day when I am very activated, will it be helpful? Because I would figure it would be, the cold water, because it is helpful with the nervous system, but I don't know. So yeah, be an experimenter and try out whatever you can, because this is like, I also believe in bio-individuality, which is that our systems are all a little bit different, and what works for me may not work for you, and vice versa, blah, blah, blah. It's like nothing was working, and I was like trying different, like getting massage, getting it checked out, going to a chiropractor, like doing all kinds of things. Like I was almost going to go the route of acupuncture. And that's when I figured out like what Kundalini awakening really is. Like I found like I figured it out, and I was like, oh, like that's what this is about. When like the message was like there for me throughout my awakening. I just, like a friend of mine said that I met, she told me these symptoms she had, which was like her body was like burning. She's like, I had to leave Bali, she was in. I had to leave Bali. It was just getting so hot, and I felt like my body was just burning. I was like, it sounds like a little bit like a Kundalini symptom. And she says, oh, that just sounds, when someone says that to me, it just sounds so fancy. And I was like, I get what you mean, but it is an actual, I'm tempted to call it like a phenomena. It's an actual like nervous system upgrade. And no doctor is going to tell you about this, especially in Western medicine. You might have better chances if you go to like an Indian or an Ayurvedic doctor or something. But they're gonna roll their eyes and be like, this is pseudoscience, so forget it. No one is really gonna understand unless they've been on this journey of what this is about. And I guess I could say to go and consult your physician, go and rule out everything. And once you've ruled it all out and you've used every cream and you've done everything you can and it's still burning, then maybe you're having a Kundalini awakening. There are more symptoms, and this is just the physical video. I'm here to be like, yeah, what you're going through is welcome. You know, all of the things that are coming up, it's all meant to come up because this is all purifying your vessel. And it really is about, I came into this world to be a space holder, but this is really about holding space for anything, for your shadows personally and for the collective shadow. And, you know, that always starts from within first, right? Yeah, so let's talk a little more about the physical sensation now that I got over to that point of like the collective shadow. I noticed sometimes in my journey so far that the pain would when I went into large environments of a lot of people, sometimes Kundalini was very active and sometimes it wasn't. This is what was strange. So I every year I go to Love Burn in Miami. It's one of my favorite things to do all year. And my first year that I went to Love Burn was 2021, and it's wild because it was like even on the way driving over there, it started activating my lower back, and I was starting to get in pain. And like the whole time that I was at the burn, you know, I love burns because it's such an intersection of like it's a bridge of so many cultures. So I was meeting like people who are like acro yogis that are like massage therapists, and I was like, I'm in pain. Like they're like, come on, let's do some acro yoga, and I was like, oh my god, that feels amazing. And like people kind of like, they understood like, oh, it's in your sacral, like go this way and I'll like do this to you and stuff. And by like the second day, that's where it was like really getting like aggressive, like it was really hurting. And I remember walking over to one of my acro friends who like they're yogi, you know, and like I was like, man, it's like it's starting, like they said to me first, they're like, it's starting to hurt. Like I was like, you too? Like it's like I am in so much pain. And what a burn is about, if in case you're like unfamiliar or whatever, and like, yeah, maybe you know about like Burning Man, that's like a very big burn. It's different. They're all different. There's small humble burns that happen, and there's larger regional burns, and it's very, very highly creative. It's like creativity is like one of the huge things. You go to the burn is you participate and bring your creativity, and others do, and it starts to grow over the time of a whole burn going on. And there's also this intentions. People come with their intentions to a burn, because also you come with intentions. It's a very spiritual experience. Even for people who are not necessarily spiritual, they're open at a burn. Because what's happening is it's a vortex of energy. It's a man-made vortex. We have natural vortexes and we have man-made ones. For example, Sedona is a natural vortex, and Bali is a natural vortex. And I would say a man-made one too, because the Balinese are like, they have such an incredible energy that of just so much like love and gratitude going on. It's like constant offerings every day there. But there's like a man-made one would be like Los Angeles. Sorry if I've offended you with my expression there, but I mean, as my friend says, my LA is not the same as my brother's LA. It is different. A vortex affects people differently. And what I was trying to infer by LA is that it's quite a dark vortex, Hollywood. You know, think about it. I don't need to do much explanation, right? And a little note on Sedona, for example, that's a place where it really activates the Kundalini, and I've had some really aggressive physical symptoms there too. Like a lot of pain, like what I'm experiencing today. A vortex affects people differently, but there's man-made ones. This is a man-made one. As people are all coming with their energy and their intentions, and it's magnifying there. And there's a lot of manifestation that can go on. So I had noticed year after year, the pattern was that I was like taking on energy of people, and I can go into a little bit what I learned more of how this is happening. But it was having to do with sexual energy. And every year, a very, very big sexual catalyst would come up in a burn for me. Where, and it was like the flavor of my Kundalini season. And there would be physical symptoms that go with this. And when you go down this Kundalini journey, you will come face to face with your sexual catalyst. It is part of it. And so anyways, like that was a flavor of my, like there's a lot of sexual energy going on at a burn. And because it's sexual energy is creative energy too, right? But also I came face to face with me being a lusty person. Like I follow methodology, we'll call it, that you'll hear me talk about my gremlin. Gremlin is your king or queen of the underworld, your shadow, and you have so many survival strategies that your gremlin has developed since you were a child. And a lot of people, some people, their gremlin, like me, is very much uses sexual energy to do all kinds of things. To, you know, I could rattle off a list, but lusty things, this is all my gremlin, it's very lusty. And I came face to face with that, especially at these burns. So these burns became like a practice tool for me of working with this energy. And so I would, like the first year, I started to realize, like, is it also the fire? And I learned over the years that fire is very activating for Kundalini as well, like physically. And of course there's a lot of fire going on at a burn. So it's like making it more aggressive. And then you have all these intentions, right? And like I was saying, it's a spiritual experience. Well, people are coming with their intentions literally, like, and they place them into the temple, and we burn the temple on one of the nights. And this is a very powerful experience. It's very cathartic for people. And the whole way that the days go on of a burn is that it's really a very transformational process for a lot of people. And this is like as close as some people get to doing transformational work in their life. And I suggest, if you do go to a burn, like to have like plans for after the burn, like of doing a lot of aftercare. And like people have like after like decompression, they're called decompression parties or decompression gatherings, for lack of other words, decompressions. And because it can be super powerful, and then you come back to this reality that like you saw all this amazing, incredible art and had all these like mind-blowing, like almost like telepathic experiences are happening there. It happens for me, where like you think of someone that you just instantly see them, and there's like thousands of people, so it's like, and it's happening more and more, and it will happen, it grows as the days go on. So I started to notice the Kundalini symptoms every year. They would get very aggressive when I was there. And part of that was me learning now. I've learned more each year of what is going on in my body. So I wanted to make also this other distinction I found interesting is that On my last trip to New York City, I hadn't been back since summer of 2021. And I cannot recall how my body was then, but I hadn't been back in all those years till recently, a couple months ago. And I was like, I wonder how it will be there. Will it be agitated? What will happen? No activity at all. It was like, honestly, I was like, this is like bliss. How is this happening? Why is this happening? So this is like, I have intuitively the answer. I think it is. I think it really has to do with people's level of intentions and like consciousness going on. Because when I reflect on how New York is, I still had fun going to New York. I'll always love New York. It's like really in my DNA of my lineage, of basically all of my family members that came. They all came to New York and they were New Yorkers. And all I heard about was New York as a girl, when I was a little girl. And it's like, it's really in me, New York. So, but there is a lot of following the agendas there. People really follow the agendas. If you follow political agenda, all that, they're not thinking so much for themselves, even though it's a very creative place, right? Which is interesting. There's a lot of this like following orders. Okay, and I saw that a lot, which is why I didn't go back for a few years. I didn't want to deal with so much of this following authority. Anyway, it's activated in different ways in different places for me, and that's been part of the experience for me to just notice. Why do I think it is? And sometimes I don't know, really. That's just a hunch, what I said. So, and if this happens to you, like, and you're a traveler too, like I travel a lot, so it's shifting around. I'd be curious what your research is. Like, pop me a comment below. I want to hear from you. And yeah, so to go back to this, physical pains, I believe that a lot of people get lower back pain for Kundalini. It's very activating, especially because it's in the sacral area and it's coming up the spine first. You know, it's coming up from the root chakra and going all the way up, and it's almost like last week I felt it where it was coming from, like it was in this one part of my sacral, and then it was just so painful, and then I felt like this stabbing even, and it was like a day before my moon time, and I had this huge like cathexis breakthrough with like my conscious fear. Ask me more about that, and if you want to know, because I'm going to go on a fear journey soon. It's starting next week. Conscious fear journey, and I felt this cathexis and came so close to really using my conscious fear instead of being afraid of fear, like feeling fear and being with it and scanning someone, another space holder. And I couldn't believe I had never been up to that part. I had never reached that threshold yet of just scanning and letting my fear speak. So when that happened, this huge powerful thing in my womb, and just like, it was like someone took a sword and just like, it was already like I was feeling that pain, but this really went in when I had this cathexis moment of using this energy, using the feeling, which is really, it's an emotion in there, because this has been in there. It's more than a feeling. It's been in my system for much longer. Feelings happen in the moment. They last for up to 3 minutes, and then after that, if they fester, they turn into emotions. So after that happened, it was like, I got my moon time like the next day. I was like, oh, okay. Like, and it wasn't super, like, I was still feeling it like it was going up. Like, it was like that sword just went up this way, up my right side, and it kept going up like it was digesting into my solar, but more like back, not my stomach, but my back, that part of my solar. And I was like, oh, maybe it's gonna release, you know, and like, and that thorn in my side, or that sword in my side, that's still there. It's still there, and that's something that I have been holding on to since past life. I know that now because I did this emotional healing process, and it went right into past life, which is something that I never went into. And I honestly, like, parts of me used to just like roll my eyes at them. Yeah, we have different parts. And so it's like it's been digesting, but then after a number of days of me experiencing it moving in different ways, now the sensation of like it's like sort of on fire a bit, it's really tender. I feel a lot of like sadness today. My energy felt lower. Yeah, just feeling like a lot of fatigue, and I'm like, all right, I haven't been doing stretching as much, so that needs to be done. Oh yeah, I gotta add this in. I don't know, there's never a video that's totally complete. But yes, suggestion is to do yoga, right? Here's another funny Kundalini symptom that I have when I do yoga, is sometimes it feels like my body is like shooting out. And it's like, it almost feels like, you know, when you like stand up too fast, you know, like low blood pressure, it feels a little bit like that. It feels like just the sensations are very different than before you had Kundalini rising. And I don't know, I kind of like them at the same time. Yeah, I kind of like them at the same time. Yeah, so I wanted to also splice this part in, which was about something else that I was going to leave for a different video, because it also borders, it's not borders into, it overlaps with the emotional aspects of Kundalini, but I will put it in this video as well. So, you know, and like what I want to say also is that this is all interconnected, which is why one of the things I love is holistic health, because it's all about the connections of all the different bodies of your whole being, right? So to quantify and distill things into just one and separate it, as like Western medicine has done, is it's not going to serve you for Kundalini. So one of the things that happened to me throughout this journey is I would have different like blockages that were like, I don't want to use the word release, but one time last summer, I was doing the breath work, Kundalini pranayama, with the, it was a certain lock that I did. And when I did that lock, and I was new to doing this lock, instantly this knot just like shot up into my neck. And I've had a lot of like chronic pain journey with my neck, which has been, that chronic pain was before my Kundalini started activating. The Kundalini, where I started to notice it, like I've been saying, was in my lower back a lot, and the whole like sciatica thing is where it began, like lower back, right, sciatica type of feeling. But the neck thing was like sort of dispersed, and sort of like was healing a lot before Kundalini started activating. And nowadays there's still little things, activations with it, after I thought like I had like a remission on that pain for a while. So this like shot up, and I was like, oh my God, like, it made me afraid to continue doing that type of lock. But what happened was, like, 2 days later, I was like, all right, it's stiff, you know, but I decided I'm still gonna get back on the aerial hoop. At the time, I was doing aerial hoop, and this instructor that was teaching me, she was also, she had like a whole yoga certification. So I could tell her, like, once I said, yeah, I was doing a certain lock and it's like, it's really sprained now, but I think I can still do some things. And I am that type of girl who is a professional tomboy. So I got back up on the hoop, and you know, at a certain point into the lesson, I was doing a certain move on the hoop, and it was like this part of my neck and here with my clavicle, just like something just like shot out of it, and it just cracked. Like, I heard it crack, and I was like, I just got off the hoop and I was like, oh my God, I don't even know what just happened. Like, it felt like some kind of release, and that was in pain. But it wasn't as in pain as actually the thing before. It was all connected. And so actually that's the last time that I've done aerial hoop. It's been about a year, because I had to leave the island I was on where I was learning it. And yeah, and I told my instructor, I was like, okay, this is all related, and this yep, I guess we're just we're releasing stuff, releasing karmas. I don't know, I'm not going to quantify them. And that's the funny thing with this Kundalini, is like, we want to quantify all of this with the mind, and that can be fun to a certain degree, but to another, like, don't drive yourself crazy doing it, because there's things that you're not going to be able to quantify. And that's what Kundalini awakening has taught me, actually, is like to really, really, really be connecting with my intuition. There's no other way around, is to, you are forced to connect with it. And yeah, that things can't be quantified. There's things that I've discovered on this journey, like, that if I were to tell it to someone who is, they demand, where's the science and where's the proof? It's like, I'm not going to even waste my time. It's not necessary, because they're not going to understand it, and they're going to try to understand it even with the mind only. And Kundalini, speaking of this, is that this is what we're working with on this planet now with Kundalini, is this heart chakra activation. It's as we're ascending into the heart chakra on this planet. So speaking of the heart chakra, I will tell you something that happened 2 summers ago. I had a total heart chakra opening. I was at the Northwest Herbal Fair. I highly recommend going. I wish I could be there this year. It's in Washington State, and it's an incredible herbal fair with all these herbalists and earthy people who do earthy things, all coming together, selling their goods, doing workshops, playing music, communing together. It's one of my top beautiful experiences that I've ever done. And there was this one group, Planets of Saturn. Check them out if you want. And the lead singer, his father had just passed away the week before, and he got up, you know, he said, this song is dedicated to my father, and he just passed away. And when they began the song, like, I don't know how much in, I can't remember, my heart chakra, like, my heart just, like, it was like, honestly, it felt like my heart was orgasming. That's one way to describe this. It was like opening and vibrating and just like expanding out. And I'd had other experiences sort of like that in different areas of the body. on this journey. But that one was so beautiful because it was like a transmission of this artist's, their love. I felt it, like I received that transmission, and I told them, like, later on, I think it was the next day, I passed them, I was like, your music for your father, that when you guys played that song, my heart chakra just opened, and I was like, you guys are amazing. They used the lead raps. He can rap, and he like rapped about mushrooms and herbs, and it was like, we were all dancing, and everyone's like, am I hearing this? This is awesome. Yeah. So these things will happen on this journey, and as I'm going to make an emotional video next on this, but I'll leave off here with saying, as physical as this is, it is also an emotional journey too. And as blissful as the journey is, it's also painful. So yeah, let's go into that video next. See you there. But wait, I didn't even get to the sex part. That's gonna be a different video, guys. I'm serious. Yeah, should I just divide this up or keep going? What do you think? Are you still watching? We're almost an hour in. Kundalini, yep, you can write books on this. The sex is like totally different, and it has a physical component and more. It is, when you go on this journey, it's like, was I even having sex before? Like, what was that in those days? And you don't want to just do it with just anyone. Speaking for myself as a retired slut over here, I say that as a without shame, you know, and I'm gonna speak more about that journey probably on this channel too, especially as I see people suffering through situationship after situationship these days and not feeling fulfilled. Yep, let's end it there. Sorry for the teaser. Come on over to that video when I make it. Fine, just kidding. I'll briefly go into some stuff about the sex. Having sex is totally different. I've had a lot of different activations going on, and to be honest, I have had sex sparingly in these years, and I don't, the reason why I wanted to make a whole different video on this is because it's a whole journey in and of itself and deserves videos on it, even though it's very vulnerable. Sex just became so powerful and so potent that along the journey, I also met many catalysts that showed me like just how powerful sexual energy is and just how much more discerning I can be about it, because when it's with people that, you know, it depends on the partners that we're with, we'll say, and what we're cultivating with that energy together. And we're sharing our energy, and we are taking each other's energy in. So use your sexual energy wisely. I was very increasingly more and more discerning over the years, and especially on my Kundalini journey, I received some very, very painful catalysts that were the sexual variety, and it taught me a lot of lessons. They were tests and lessons. And I also had conscious couplings and conscious uncouplings in this time. And I also had, after a long period, after cleansing my aura of all the past energetic bonds, I had a sexual energetic bond with someone that was just a short-term thing, but it was very conscious, and it wasn't when I describe it to friends, they're like, so you had like dry, what is it called again? Dry hump? Did you dry hump? And I was like, Is that what we're gonna call it? I was like, no, it went past that. It didn't go like internal in certain ways. Anyway, this is very powerful, and with another person that I was with, they also are, their Kundalini is also active, and they're very good space holder, and they are very open, and exploring this was like the reason why I chose to have this conscious sex with them, was because I was like, felt like this person was meeting me with the same level of consciousness, and I have no regrets for doing this with them. But afterwards I learned, like, I really just want to do that with someone that I know also is someone that I want a partnership with. So, and I don't see that with this person. But speaking in terms of the physical sensation and all, full out activations, huge, like repeated orgasmic sensations in different body parts, and very much pleasure and pain. Like, my body was so activated that it was so much bliss and so much pain. Like, actually speaking about it now, like, I feel really grateful for the experience, because I learned a lot and I got to experience a lot, and it was with a good person, like, who was very open and held space, and I knew the difference between sexual encounters that I've had and sexual bonds with people who mostly, you know, often it was with men who couldn't hold space, but I've definitely had some not great encounters with women too, so this is not all about men who might have a collective tendency to not be as emotionally available, but women can be emotionally unavailable as well. And speaking of emotionally unavailable women, I've definitely been capable of that. I was that sometimes in the past, and I was just having sex to have sex, and for a lot of other things, trying to get satisfaction, and not really care about a reciprocity so much, and not even know that that was a possibility, to be honest, and not really know what I was even missing out on. But I'll leave that for other videos. My main point of putting that part in is to say that this is about my practice, not just looking at the outside and what other people have done. It's always about my practice. And if we're going to continue to go forward in our spiritual practice, it's about taking responsibility for everything in our reality, all of our conscious and unconscious choices. And it's not about the other person. Your practice is your practice. Like, my practice is my practice. But it was just so, so it's hard to separate physical from emotional, as you can see in this video, but it was full out opening my vocal, like my throat chakra, because so much was coming out. Like, I was crying too, and I was like weeping and like groaning, I'll say, like grieving in this process. And it wasn't like, yeah, I could go into like the story there of like, oh, this was very different than past experiences, but I was very in the moment. But then there was also this space holding that happened before it and after, and it was very red tantra, if you follow, where we really were very present and eye gazing, and that led us into this. And I tend to not really go to Tantra gatherings because it just doesn't feel like my scene. And that's another, I don't want to go on that tangent of why, but this was a very authentic experience that I cannot roll my eyes at, which, to be honest, I kind of do when I see some invitations for Tantra experiences, and I'm like, all right, I don't think it's my time to go, or this is my place to go right now, or to this one. So I'm very grateful for this experience. It was also a lot of collective healing with this other person who is a man, because we were going directly into wounds of the masculine and feminine, especially feminine wounds, and to be received in that way was huge. It was huge. And so after that, I was like, oh gosh, like, I don't really want to go on this journey with someone who maybe it's not gonna progress, but we never have a guarantee of a relationship, and that's expectations. Whenever we're going into any relationship of any kind, to any degree, even I'm considering even things that are short term of a moment, okay, it's always a risk. We open ourselves up, and that is part of surrender too. Suggestions. I can offer you some suggestions or possibilities. Earth every day. I will take that myself, and maybe that ought to be part of my daily videos coming up, is to do them while earthing every day. Earthing means you're going to collect the energies of the earth on your bare feet, the transmissions from the earth, and also the way that the earth gives you these negative ions it totally helps with your nervous system, okay? So make sure that you earth as often as possible, like 30 minutes a day, 20 to 30 minutes walking. Or if you want to, like something that I do now a lot, I just take out a little picnic blanket, a towel outside, and I just lay on it on the grass, and I watch the clouds or the trees, and I lay my bare feet on the ground. And it's really good. It's really nice. You start to receive transmissions from the earth with Kundalini, at least for me. That's also like where some of my biggest moments were happening of Kundalini awakening, which I could do in another video. Another suggestion is to do Kundalini pranayama breath work. When I started doing that, as I finally was doing that every day, I had so much more of the energy was moving around, and I was having a lot more relief too, because I was like in agony some days. But today is kind of feeling like some agony. So what's happened for me also, even though I'm giving you this suggestion, it sounds like, oh, but that doesn't work long term. I don't know, everyone is different. But I had a lot of relief with it, and lately I've been doing it for about 1.5 years now. Lately it's just like it's not working as much for pain relief, but I'm continuing it, of course, because it's part of the work of moving the sexual energy around and working with Shakti every day. But now, as I started doing conscious anger 333 exercises, as it's called, that's that cathexis I'm talking about. That I noticed that gave me immediate, like it moved it around. And I was like, all right, this is what we need to do, this 333 practice. 3 minutes of conscious anger 3 times a week for 3 months. And, ask me more about that. We'll talk about it elsewhere, but because that's going to take a while. So those are some things. Know that you're in your process. This is the way it goes. There is no way of getting out of this now. Some people envy this, not that makes it any better, but I would say, like, if you're watching this, and because I have a friend that she's like, oh, I really want to activate my Kundalini, and I was like, that's why I said the envy it. Like, it is, do it wisely if you're trying to activate it. Do it wisely. Do not try to release it at once. Look into Kundalini Pranayama. Look into like a community like 4D University. That's really been helpful for me to learn this method, because that's where I learned pranayama from Aaron Abke's university. If you are trying to activate your Kundalini and you do not have a regular daily meditation routine, I'm going to say this is a big mistake. It's really necessary to be able to at least be cultivating a regular routine that you're showing up every day, like you're dedicated. Because how are you going to be working with this energy if you haven't built up to even just sitting down to meditate every day? Like, this is a very devotional thing. Like, you'll be required to do it in order to work with the energy. And you'll be naturally attracted to meditation. That's something that is a running theme of anyone who goes through Kundalini, is you start to kind of like crave meditation almost. Or you do. It's a healthy craving. So I'm filming this portion the morning after filming this, so we're splicing this in here. I want to recommend the herb lemon balm. That was one that I was taking a lot for my nervous system a few years ago, and I hadn't been taking it so much lately. But last night I was like, why haven't I been taking that? I remembered that I did have some here, so I took some before bed. And I cannot say yet if it is going to help with the pain of Kundalini, but I'll report back in another video or something. Yeah, I want to report back here of how today the pain has shifted, and rest is so essential for this. Rest is like severely underrated in our modern culture, in this society where it's go, go, go. And for me, rest is very hard to treat myself to rest. And that was a shift that I had with this Kundalini awakening. I was living outdoors and I would just get tired by like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at the latest. And I finally started going to bed earlier. Is that happening these days while I've been living indoors? No. My bedtime is 2 a.m. and waking up, I'm trying to get up at 9:30. Confessions. That's another topic, but rest is so essential, because I notice like after I rest, it's not as severe. Today, the pain, like I was in some mild agony last night. It was really not nice. The sensation is, if I'm going to attach labels to this, it wasn't nice. It was painful, very burning. And today the pain is not as spread out of my lower back. It is like, it's in the spine, and it's in a certain point that is above, like right where the lower back starts to go to your butt almost, like that spot, and it's on the right. So it's like the pains shift around as Shakti is like basically working on your nervous system. And one more thing, this is gonna sound basic AF, but I feel like I have to really give these things to you if you're going through so much pain too. Lie on the floor, like don't even, I mean, a yoga mat's fine, but like if you don't have one, whatever, just lie on the floor on your back. For me, I feel a lot of release. Like it just feels a lot better when I just like take breaks and lie on the floor, and I'll do like certain yoga stretches, but like just having that floor that is just a hard surface, like it does something more than lying on the bed sometimes does for me. And so yeah, try it out. As basic as it sounds. How dare I leave this part out? Yes, spontaneous movements of Kundalini, that's a physical thing I could have covered more of in this video. I started to have more of them actually as I was started doing Kundalini pranayama breath work. I've had it where when I do like conscious cannabis journeys, it really activates the movements, the spontaneous movements, so much so that I went into like full out compulsive yoga positions and all of that in several occasions. So yes, that's a thing. And when you do breath work and like you feel, you just start moving with it, maybe like I have. So yes, different spontaneous movements are a thing, and different activations of different chakras and parts of the body. Yes, that's also a big part of this. Another thing that has shifted for me when I've been doing Kundalini pranayama is over the last, I'd say this last maybe 4 months or so, I started to have this like clicking of my spine, and like the lower part of my spine, like above my coccyx. I would do a breath and it would click. Another thing that happened in the stage, whatever stage that was before that time, was every time that I would inhale going up with my breath, I would yawn. And I would do this continuously, especially, it happened in the morning, but it happened with an evening practice too. So these are just things I'm also leaving in here too. They're just interesting awarenesses, and like I've been saying, it's very different for everybody. If you want, you can reframe your experience that this is part of your journey of alchemizing it. And I'm kind of segueing into another video here, but I believe that the things that are our survival strategies, that are like our biggest pains in life, they become transformed through this alchemy. And that is where the Kundalini path, it is a devotional path. It is a path where you will no longer be able to just like work a 9-to-5 job, work in something, even if maybe you were like me, that I am gradually shifting out of a career that I cultivated, that I really believed in, and I'm being called out of it because I can't do the service that I'm meant to do now in the world. And I don't say that to like degrade my profession or act like I am above it or anything. We change, and this is a transformation. Kundalini is a transformation, and it's also healing, but it's transformation, and they're different. They're different, and that is a metamorphosis, and you have many metamorphoses on this journey. Now I'm at 40 minutes, but I am going to upload it. And this is, if you've reached this point, yeah, please comment below. Like, I like talking and I like making videos, but I'm really looking forward to the day where I get people that are engaging with me more, and that I have my community. I've found you. I found my people. And the days of the guru on the mountain are over. They're over. and outsourcing your journey and your, outsourcing to a guru, those days are over. I'm on a journey of vulnerability, and I know that I will not find my people if I am not vulnerable with you. And that is much what, you get what I'm saying? That is much what Kundalini awakening is about. It's about surrender. Yeah. Surrender. And these physical pains are about surrender. And to bring it back to Buddhism and being with something and holding space for it is an act of surrender, of letting go, not trying to control something, being with it, letting it be as is. Thank you for watching, and if you like the video, like it, subscribe to the channel if you want to stay in connection, and reach out to me if you want me to hold space for you, or you'd like some, I title it holistic personal development, or holistic self-development coaching. I do a lot of things. If you're called to work with me, reach out to me and I would be delighted. I'll see you next time. Mwah.